film continued to be very popular. Despite the fact it was available on DVD, there'd still be screenings like this, and I would go to them to do Q&As afterwards to support them, and they'd be really intense experiences still. This is many, many years after the film. So Alex Garland, the writer, and I would talk about doing maybe a sequel, a new addition to it. And we worked on a number of different ideas. But it was only when he came up with this idea that we got really energized, and it was to try and write a much bigger story than people maybe expected. That it was about a significant time later, and that it in some way would involve Brexit and the Teletubbies. Those were our two. Yeah.
In realtà il film originale, nonostante siano passati tantissimi anni, ha continuato ad essere molto popolare, ha continuato ad essere un film molto visto, nonostante il fatto che fosse disponibile su DVD. Praticamente vengono spesso continuamente fatte proiezioni tipo queste qui, con una sessione di Q&A a seguire, quindi è sempre stato qualcosa che ha suscitato un interesse particolare. E devo dire che con Alex Garland abbiamo molte volte parlato della possibilità di realizzare un sequel, un'aggiunta a quello che era il film originale, e lui aveva tirato fuori, abbiamo lavorato insieme a tutta una serie di idee, però soltanto quando è venuta fuori questa idea, questa proposta, che ci siamo caricati, lui si è caricato di energia ed ha scritto una storia molto più ampia, molto più larga di quello che ci si potesse aspettare, proprio perché volevamo realizzare un qualche cosa che fosse di esperienza, qualcosa di grande esperienza, un periodo significativamente più tardi, un periodo dopo molti anni. Quello che ci interessava soprattutto inserire nella storia ovviamente era la Brexit e i Teletubbies.
More and more incomprehensible, and I think horror is a response to that. And I think one of the really interesting differences is that when we made the first film, I remember them saying very clearly, no women will ever go and see this film. It was like, women just won't go and watch horror. And absolutely, it was obviously, when we made the first film, the sequence at the beginning with the deserted London, when COVID hit, there were much press that used those images to say, look, it's come true, and everywhere cities around the world were empty and seemed extraordinarily, it was a very striking representation of the danger there was. So that obviously fed back into the new film. But what fed into it more than that was the way we adapted to COVID over time. Because obviously this is 28 years. You can't keep up the way we first reacted to COVID. Suddenly the danger, and we all wore masks or gloves or whatever. You can't keep that up for 28 years. It's exhausting. You start taking... We tried and we failed. But maybe we'll try again and fail better.
Ci abbiamo provato, non con Alex, ma con un altro sceneggiatore, John Hodgson. Ci abbiamo provato e abbiamo fallito. Magari ci riproveremo, così falliremo anche meglio.
Yes, when we made the first film, it was really about road rage. Like we all feel when we're driving. That kind of just fury that you have. But you're right, it seems to have become the default setting of all of us now. That we go from 0 to 100 in terms of our tempers. There's no in-between stages of frustration or disappointment. We just go angry straight away. So it's weird the way that that's happened. I think there's many theories, aren't there? But technology must be part of that. They have empowered us individually in a way that is beyond delivery. The only cure for boredom is curiosity, and there is no cure for curiosity, because it makes you endlessly inquisitive and searching. And I I'm very lucky to be, my own infection is not rage, but is curiosity.
Altre domande? Oh, scusami.
We lack leaders of that resistance. I can only speak for my own country, really, and we lack those inspiring figures, and one hopes that they will emerge to lead us forward. I think at one point it looks like the technologists would lead us forward, but that seems a very distant prospect now. And the complications that AI throws up in terms of business opportunities versus personal freedoms and really important ideas like trustful information, that is a huge challenge. In 28 days later, Cillian Murphy and Naomi Harris quickly form a family with Brendan Gleeson, and they go in the taxi, and if you remember it. So we wanted to create a family, and the film is really about, although it's about horror and rage and you want it to be an exciting and compelling film for horror fans, it's also about the nature of family and their family and what happens in families. They do fracture, and trauma does affect them, and he must overcome that, and with the help of his mother he does overcome that, and he learns to resist his father and make his own way. So we wanted it to have to be a surprise, the sheer impact of that to be a surprise eventually, which is why Sony tend to just show the first 28 minutes of the film. I know they've shown you the whole film, but to a lot of people they show the first 28 minutes because then the emotional bit isn't in it, but the emotional bit has real power. Jodie Comer is an amazing actress, and Ralph Fiennes, and it's a way to expand the ambition of the film rather than just follow a kind of set of rules that make a good sequel, really. We wanted it to be ambitious and hope that it would work, yes.